I have been asked to be the spokesman for this Allied Expeditionary Force in saying a word of introduction to what you are about to see. It is a story of the Nazi defeat on the Western Front. So far as possible, the editors have made it an account of the really important men in this campaign. I mean the enlisted soldiers, sailors, and airmen that fought through every obstacle to victory. Of course, to tell the whole story would take years, but the theme would be the same. Teamwork wins wars. I mean teamwork among nations, services, and men. All the way down the line, from the GI and the Tommy to us brass hats. Our enemy in this campaign was strong, resourceful, and cunning, but he made a few mistakes. His greatest blunder was this. He thought he could break up our partnership, but we were welded together by fighting for one great cause, into one great team, a team in which you were an indispensable and working member. That spirit of free people, working, fighting, and living together in one great cause, has served us well on the Western Front. We in the field pray that that spirit of comradeship will persist forever among the free peoples of the United Nations.
Living in love and hope, who sense the future in the surrounding air, this testament is offered. Here you may look on the violent fragments of our age and the once thinness of the little thread that made us then the citizens of freedom. For dark was Europe and the face of man when this begins. The nation had gone mad and struck out everywhere the compass knew. The ebb tide of our honor fell away and left its wreckage on 100 coasts. The German cast his fires about the globe. His strength, drawn from the smoking Saar and Ruhr, lay in our weakness. And at last his conquests smoldered behind the barriers of his arms. Along the channel where the sea strikes France stood the West Wall of concrete, stone, and steel to mock the frail hopes of the petty free. Wounded, hard-pressed, and wasted on our strength, almost like madmen then, we planned to breach the wall and smash the German spine. But where? We searched the coast of Europe like fierce eagles. Between low Flushing and deep-harbored Cherbourg, our eyes sought out the place of the assault. Exits and tidal range marked shallow Flushing off. Sand and the wind canceled the Belgian coast. The North Seine beaches were too small, and cliffs barred the approaches. Cotentin, too narrow. The Pas de Calais, heavily defended. It all resolved on Normandy, on Caen. There planes could land upon the carpet ground, the coast defenses were more light, and tides had a good range, and men were safe from winds. So on 5 miles of still unblooded sand, the fretful course of fate would be assailed by armored nations. Now our people bent to the construction of a steel array and took the builder's hammer in their hands. It seemed almost as though the sun stood still till our free peoples, full of rage and power, heaved through the air the ponderous spear of war. This is our people's story, in their words.
I suppose if the Battle of the North Atlantic hadn't gone right, things, well, might have been considerably different. That was an ugly time for all of us. Merchant ships, naval escort, air patrol. I guess I had my share of bad luck. I lost 3 ships and some good friends.
I remember reading somewhere that when a seagull comes down on a patch of oil, its feathers stick together and it can't get off the water again. There must have been a lot of dead seagulls around the North Atlantic.
Of course, we only saw it happening on the wall map. And yet it was, well, quite real. When I started there, those markers we used reminded me of toys out of some children's game. But soon they became U-boats and ships carrying cargoes, food and supplies and weapons, and men to use them.
I remember coming over, the worst thing about the trip was you didn't know where you were going. Wherever it was, you'd be a stranger, and nobody likes that. That ship was loaded from stem to stern with sad sacks. Around the third day out, things got pally. Like the fella said, we're all in the same boat. The comic. Finally, we got to Liverpool. They had a band to play us in, an English Army band full of chimes. I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas, they played. To tell you the truth, it was pretty corny. But nobody said anything because, well, you know, it was a nice gesture. Funny thing, on the way over, you felt like you were the whole works. You couldn't help it. But then, all over the UK, you'd see things that made you begin to realize you were just part of a big proposition. All kinds of things.
I was a pre-med student at Johns Hopkins in civilian life. Now, I do know a little something about anatomy. And I say it is scientifically impossible for the human body to stand up to the training we receive. An absolute impossibility. Muscles and tendons and bone structure was not designed to withstand that battering. Don't ask me how it happens that we did stand up to it. I don't know. It has no scientific explanation.